Good evening, all you cool cats and kittens. Welcome to our featured community club of the week, the Mysidian Jumping Club. I'm PK4787. I'm here with GundamPilotSpaz. And you might see we have Forge with Kakol, and we have Complete the Giant of Babel. But Gundam, there is one specific flag that is on for this club. Maybe you would like to explain what that is.
That's right, PK. Tonight, our runners are going to be bashing that B button because it's going to enable them to jump over some of those tougher bosses and obstacles and complete this seed a lot faster than it normally would be able to be completed.
That's right. We have on our featured runners here, we have CoffeeAndChocobos and BadKarma. And once we get going here, you will see, usually it's pretty linear where you see these runners go off the start, but they have a heck of a lot more options now that we have this jumping flag on. There are basically 6 or 7 additional checks that you can make right off the start. I don't know, Gundam, are there any that you prefer when it comes to the jumping flags?
Oh, I like to go underground. I like to get underground as fast as possible. Depending on the starting characters, of course, we could also see an early ordeals if we have a Tella or a Cecil. So we got to upgrade them as quick as possible and make some of those bosses that we do have to fight a little easier.
Up and some bad news. If you were tuning in, hoping to get some magical tunes from our Spoony Bard, unfortunately, that fight is not going to have to take place because you can just jump right over that Dark Elf, and he will certainly not be getting any immortality tonight.
So the different palettes always throw me off, but would you say that's a Pelham or a Porum that we're starting with?
That looks like a Porum to me. The ponytail appears to be on the left side, which would be a Porum. The righty has her ponytail on the left side, Palom. The lefty has his on the right side, which is the only way you can tell these two children apart.
Oh, dual white mages to begin.
It's ladies' night on the town. And I'm very intrigued. I do terribly in these races every time I do them. So I don't know if my strategy is the right one, but I agree with you. I usually go underground. But maybe I'll learn a thing or two here because you can go do Earth Crystal, you can do music, like you said, you can do ordeals, you can jump into Baron Castle. It is the S standard flag, so there are a lot of goodies to be found on the way underground, which is entirely free in the hook route, a free character. I mean, there's so much more off the start of these races than there are in any of the other clubs that we run or any of the other flags that we typically see on this channel.
So we are starting off with a pass, so that's going to make getting to Zeromus a little bit easier. But we are going to be mixing our key items with those moon bosses, so a moon it may still be required.
Yeah, there's always a chance it's on the moon. Every one of these that I've run, the moon has been quite haunted. One thing you'll notice is you can jump over those NPCs to try to get in your way, which is a huge quality of life gain. And as you can see, we have BadKarma headed immediately over to Troya. There's no Demist hunt in this, so Eddie has a key item. CoffeeAndChocobos, on the other hand, is in there looting Baron. So we'll see where the key items start heading off to. But these are, compared to anything else, you can go just about anywhere off the start of this. I don't think it's a bad call.
So BadKarma is picking up that package from Bedward. Probably not going to be the most valuable key item. These flags are probably not going to see the Summer's Town burn tonight, but it is a key item. The faster we get to 10 key items, the more experience that we can get.
That's correct. All these skips are great. It is S standard, so there might be sirens, but 10 key items, you do still have to fight Zeromus at the end of this. So the more bosses you skip, the fewer levels your foo might get, and the less likely you are to just be ready to go right into Zeromus once you actually do hit that go mode.
So CoffeeAndChocobos heading into the Watery Pass, one of my favorite places to go with the jump flags on. It's makes it a little bit of an obstacle course to try to get through that as fast as possible.
jumping those bridges, jumping into the water and out of the water. It's much more efficient than it would be without this jumping flag. There's also the great bonk sound effect if you do find yourself underneath a bridge trying to jump. And there are those sirens down there in Eblin Cave. And it looks like BadKarma is taking similar routing to what I would be doing here. So we'll get to see the character as well as probably grab some levels and then start clearing things overworld.
Alright, so, I mean, we're going to want some kind of damage here. Probably a melee character would be ideal, but it's Atella in Eblin Cave, so a lot of mages tonight.
Yeah, if there was anyone less powerful, maybe a base level Rydia and Atella would be on my list of people I don't want. Particularly when you have those sirens, because you can really quickly gain some levels and then you don't really have to worry about most of these bosses. But that's not too helpful. Fortunately, you're gonna see you don't have to fight either of the hook bosses, so not an enormous loss as far as, you know, gearing yourself up for a tough hook fight.
No, and the access to sirens does make Tella a lot less valuable, so we're not going to need weak to do any D-machine grinds or any of the tougher grinds in free enterprise.
That's correct, and as I'll probably keep repeating, the boss, or the elements boss, at least you can jump right over, so you only have to do CPU, so you don't have to worry over much about, you know, having to output 60,000 damage as quickly as possible.
Okay,
so looks like they're both going underground. Yep.
And jumping on the roof to save a couple steps there.
I think BadKarma had the feeling, so he decided he was just going to jump across the ceiling. This is pretty typical. Yeah, I mean, you get underground here, you do a siren or two, and then, you know, what would be your next play as far as where you're going to go? Because there are a few choices here.
Yeah, I mean, once I'm underground, I'm probably going to do my basic free checks. I'm going to go to Fey March, I'm going to get the free key item, and then head over and talk to Yang, and then probably run back up to the overworld. I mean, I may check some of the shops, but it's still fairly early, and we already know where those sirens are. I'm not sure if they're going to really care about coffins at this point.
One coffin would be nice, but that's about as much. BadKarma found a curse string, which will eventually play a decent role. But, you know, a typical play in these flags is to go up to the Earth Crystal, but even after a siren or two, with the wrong characters or Earth Crystal, I don't know if that's a fight you want to have to take. Is that Vanilla Valvalis fight?
With this party, I mean, I haven't seen anyone get a decent bow for Rosa. I mean, Rosa with a decent bow is going to do a lot of damage, but I'm probably going to wait till maybe I get one or two more characters before I challenge the Zop bosses. Unless we do Siren Grind quick and get those levels. It looks like BadKarma picks up the spoon at Fey March.
So it is a key item, however, it's not quite something that you can chase. And as if you can see that the two objectives are complete the giant and forge the Excalibur. So we're really looking for the darkness, the legend, and the adamant in all of these checks that the runners are making.
So we picked up one of those, at least a middle sword. We have the spoon. I just saw ninja swords at the shop in Fey March. The seed is telling us that we want a ninja, which I think almost guarantees that there won't be a ninja.
Exactly. The more swords you pick up for Edge, the less likely that he is going to show his face in this seed. But we have a fair number of character checks left. There are no free characters. so there isn't there aren't going to be as many potential spots for an edge to be running around as they are in these Zemus zone flags that we have typically been seeing people run recently.
There's no limitation to the randomization on these characters either, so we can see anybody at Hobbs or at Dwarf Castle or at pretty much anywhere. So
that's right, and there is Fusoya as well, so he might hear his very holding face at some point here. But then it does become the question of, do I want to jump over these fights or do I want to power up this Fusoya? So he's not always the ideal candidate for these seeds.
No, and there have been times in the jump flags where I've actually grabbed that Fusoya and then, of course, panicked and gone back and done like the Ordeals bosses, which I skipped over earlier, just to quickly get him a bunch of spells and make him useful.
Yeah, there can be some mad scrambling. That's always why I try to go underground early, is because you can pick up those 2 Earth Crystal characters for free, but you do have to win that second fight in order to take them with you. Or I'm sorry, in order to take the key item. So it is always a question of, can I get this done in one check? Do I have the characters to do it? And if there's a rude boss there, you might give up a lot of time. If there's a free boss there, then it's certainly very, very nice to get done early.
All right, looks like BadKarma finding Bacchus and Ether 2s in Dwarf Castle. He's not going to take any of those now, but he's coming across with some good loot.
Yeah, as far as characters go, really, there's just a bow is the only item you can use right now. Yep. But as we get a look at, what the parties are going to shape up to be, it's definitely some valuable information. Sirens, again, are going to limit, wanting to, buy those Ether 2s, go up to the Giant and grind. But depending on how quickly you can find that Darkness Crystal, it might still be something we see some of our runners do. Because again, you got to beat Zeromus. He's not a walk in the park.
Can't jump over him.
No. You can jump on him, but it's not recommended. Go show off jumps, I think, after looting this Chocobo Forest. Wow, Runex in the Chocobo Forest.
So is BadKarma going to go power up the Tella? Looks like it. I don't think he just wanted to loot the Chocobo Forest. Yeah.
This is probably a good idea. I mean, with what you're rocking, I might have considered doing a Siren, but powering up that powering up that Tella is going to be a relatively good source of damage, which is not something I typically find myself saying.
Probably would have at least peeked Hobbs before coming here, though. Probably could have walked away with a pretty powerful character.
Certainly true. I think you might even want to get, if you didn't find coffins, you might want to get weak on Tella so that you can down one of those eggs without too much suffering.
Oh, look at this. We have...
But you still got to get through this boss.
Yeah. CoffeeAndChocobos is fighting the guards in Feymarch. I think that was at the Leviathan spot. He used an hourglass to freeze him in place, and now he's just got to chip away at him.
Looks like he found a coffin somewhere as well. They still gotta finish these guards, these soldiers. They might help you out a little bit. Or actually, they're frozen, so this party's got a lot of damage to put out.
It might take him a while, but it's free at this point.
Yeah, there's no cost to it besides the opportunity cost of something else. But this is going to be good experience. It's a key item check. The toad does hit from Tella, so that'll double the amount of damage that you're doing. You almost wish you didn't freeze them if you could get that coffin off before getting punched, because they would at least help you out on their own there.
BadKarma gets through the CPU to upgrade his tele. I actually missed the key item, but it actually looks like it was a Baron key.
So as with many things in this seed, it doesn't count as a key item, but it's not offering you any access to somewhere you couldn't already go.
Well, with the exception of the shops, but I don't think either of our runners are going to do too much shopping tonight.
No, I would be surprised if we saw a lot of shopping. I was holding my breath while Karma jumped back over the bridge, because that's always a mistake I make. I just run right back into the fight.
Yeah, I'm saying it looked like he was hesitating.
You gotta line that up like an Olympic gymnast if you want to make sure that you don't accidentally hit the back attack on the way out.
Alright, so BadKarma looking like he's going to go check the character at Hobbs. CoffeeAndChocobos finishes that final frog soldier.
Gonna pick up some levels and see if there's a key item of value here. And we will start getting some more information. I wouldn't be surprised to see Karma head over to Troya and knock out some of those checks. Oh, there's a D-Mist down there too. As I said earlier when we were talking, actually, D-Mist doesn't gate an additional key item. So hopefully they both remember that better than I do when I run these seeds.
I have a few times fought that D-Mist very excitedly before I remembered, oh no. Bedward has that item.
And there is another just bruiser to add to the party in base level Rydia.
So, this full party of mages. Octoman is probably not going to be much of a challenge here. They'll get through him pretty quickly. But, yeah, getting a character that can do some physical damage would be my priority now. At least one. Otherwise, we have to start planning for some reflex strats towards the end of the seed.
Yep, reflex strats. This is one of those precarious situations where you're really not quite strong enough to go and just feel comfortable doing Earth Crystal. You do have the Sirens, but even the Baron Throne fight with the wrong boss, you can find yourself hitting that reset button.
Yeah, I mean, Antlion, I wouldn't be too afraid of the Antlion spot right now, or the going into Fabul and checking those key items. But yeah, we're gonna want some more levels before we do any of the additional character checks at this point.
Yep. And
Unless we wanna walk out of Zot, which I don't know about you, but that's a desperate move if there ever was one.
Yeah, it's a real sad day when I have to walk out of Zot. We might get Chocobos is headed over to Troya. He's picked up the package. Looks like might. Well, my guess is he was headed over to music. Looks like we might be having an issue with our feeds, but it looked like he was setting up a save to head over to music. Which, well, we might miss the key item. We won't technically be missing any music, because you just jump right over it, as I mentioned earlier.
Yeah, even though that key item is... Oh, we're back. That's good. So even though the harp key item is free, it is one that I do not like to do unless I do have that source of exit, which, of course, Tele provides us. Just because you then have to... You grab a free key item and you have to walk all the way out. So he's in the perfect position to take advantage of this normally gated but now free spot, and then to warp right out of there.
And this is one of those locations when I started these seeds that I realized that I don't really remember exactly how to walk out for some reason. I can get lost my way out because I'm so used to waiting until I have exit. But when it's free, wow, that's something right there.
So Coffee and Chocobos picking up the Adamant, which is 1/2 of our Excalibur, which is a required objective tonight.
So we need the Darkness Crystal and we need the Legend Sword on Coffee and Chocobo's screen. So value add music, even if we don't get music. When we're being restreamed, you always check the Twin Harp one way or the other. And that is the Panda on a BadKarma screen from Antlion. So Fate Antlion probably not a great idea here either.
I very rarely fade Antlion, to be honest. It's such an easy spot. I mean, even if I delay it to like maybe right before I'm going to do Dwarf Castle or Tower or something, it's still, at that point, it's 1 or 2 swings and a little bit of a walk.
Whenever I get on the mic, I like to pretend like it's a thing, but I'm pretty sure I'm the only one dumb enough to just keep fading Antlion. People have seen it's cost me in the past, but I mean, 30% of the time it works, 15% of the time.
I believe it was one of the Bull Gauntlet finals where both of Inven and Rivers faded Antlion for like good 25 minutes. So I don't think you're alone there.
Well, they had a Magma Key start. They had a much more justifiable reason to not go into Antlion immediately than just me just flying right past it. I do recall that race. And
so, neither of our runners have done Fabul yet. It looks like Coffee and Chocobos is going there, but BadKarma picking up the pan is going to enable him to do a single Fabul check, which Coffee and Chocobos is going to lose time at.
One single dip. This is the other. This is like maybe in that Rivers and Inven race actually is when you have so many choices off the open for I do this, you forget about something that you usually do immediately, like Antlion. That happens to me in these seats too. I have to think like back to, did I do Baron in? Did I do Antlion? Did I do Fabul Defense? Just because it's so much more open off the beginning that you're so like your mental checklist gets thrown off very quickly.
Yeah, demist is that for me. If I find demist in a spot where I have to either climb out or fight a couple extra bosses, it's often that there's a small delay in my processing before I remember, oh, I have to go check that.
We've all definitely been there. That's the D-Lunars at the Fabul Defense. Not going to be too bad. This is actually, with the Mage Party, a slight advantage over if you were trying to rely on early physical damage. And this will be a key item. I'm impressed. I don't blame either of these runners for not having gone up to the Earth, but I'm always curious to see who those characters are, because getting an Edge, getting a Fu, even a Cecil, somebody for these teams would really, really give you a good boost to your damage output.
D-Lunars being one of the few bosses where a party of white mages is going to help us a lot.
Yeah, indeed. You can cast cure spells on them. You can get through all of that. That is the Luca key. Another spot, well, that's technically, you have to use the key to open the door, but you don't have to fight the boss. So not a bad place to just sprint down and check, even more so. Or actually, similar to without the jumping flag, but if you want to take it out, you just gotta run. You don't have to fight that boss at the bridge.
So BadKarma did check the package. He saw Sid there, and decided to reset out of it. It's a very long check, but we have at least a Runex. I think both runners picked up a Runex. So if it comes down to being desperate for a melee character, they could always go back and pick him up.
Yeah, I mean, early Sid with those sirens. Coffee looks like he's gonna go Antlion, so should have that pan check. Or with early sirens and a Sid, you know, you open up a few additional fights. You might feel comfortable doing something like Dwarf Castle, those Earth Crystal checks. But I'm curious to see what comes from that pan, because these can be really jetty flags if you pull that those 2 key items for the X-Cal and that Darkness Crystal.
Alright, so we have BadKarma walking down to do the harp check, and CoffeeAndChocobos is going to be quick work of this Bahamut at Antlion.
Bahamut, the mother counting down for bedtime, is going to be made quick work of. And we'll see if CoffeeAndChocobos chases that pan. It would definitely be an intriguing item to me, because I'm trying to get 10 key items as quickly as possible, and then half, you know, just trying to find just the Darkness Crystal is really the primary thing on my mind when I'm running these seeds.
Yeah, honestly, I think BadKarma is showing a lot of restraint, just not going and immediately hitting the pan and then doing that the 3 key item check at Fabul.
Choco's chasing immediately, showing off that little clip jump in the 2nd floor. And we'll get a check there. I'm hoping, just for my own personal interest, I'm hoping that this is BadKarma going up to Zot, because I'm very intrigued to see what characters we have up there, jumping the old lady like a pro.
All right, CoffeeAndChocobos getting the light sword from the Sylph. Not going to help us without a Cecil in the party.
No, you hate to see it from something that might give you an actual key item of note. There's still 2 checks left in that chain from that pan, so there might still be some value here. But now I've got my eyes on BadKarma. This is very important for the future of the seed, and these are some really cool jumps as well. If you haven't watched much of the jumping club,
now, BadKarma did already go to Fabul, CoffeeAndChocobos did already go to Fabul once. Did he check Sheila 1? Did we see what Sheila 1 was holding?
if we did, I was not in close enough attention. It looks like from our tracking, CoffeeAndChocobos as a rat tail, but that could have also been from the Fabul defense, because I'm not sure if BadKarma did that either.
Bacon Pie?
Yep.
Bacon Pie on tracking just is letting us know that Sheila 1 was the assassin dagger, so that's definitely not a key item.
Sheila certainly had the goods. This is the spicy play from CoffeeAndChocobos. This was one of the things that I totally forgot when I started running these races, was that you don't have to do this fight either. For some reason, I had this locked in my mind as it was more than just a tile that initiated the fight here, because I am deathly afraid of accidentally running into any boss when I go down. Melee fighters up there.
Oh, wow. So, BadKarma picking up the Kane and the Cecil at the top of Zot. Let's see if he's going to be keeping both of them, as I would.
And that was the hook down at Luca Cave. So with that rat tail and those additional pan check in hand, you got to walk that out. You also you got 2 free checks coming up, which, you know, feels good unless unless Rando decides to Rando on you.
So Sheila too could still be the Darkness Crystal. The Rat Tail definitely has the potential to be that Darkness Crystal.
We will get to see, potentially see, as you can tell, BadKarma is gearing up pretty aggressively for this fight leaving the Tower of Zot, because while you did just pick up a Kane and a Cecil, they aren't exactly beefy Zerkers that you would like them to be. Depending on what boss you run into here, you might have a real fight on your hands, as Flurry would want me to say.
What spot would you not like to see the Darkness Crystal? Because we have a lot of options. You know, it could be an easy spot like that Rat Tail, but it definitely could be one of it could be that D-Mist in the Asura spot. It could be in the Baron Castle, maybe behind the Odin Throne. So there could be a couple trolley spots where that Darkness Crystal is hiding.
Yeah, I was thinking the throne. I mean, I'm still a fan of it being a dwarf castle, because it is something that people typically in these flags are going to hold off on, because it is 2 fights. It is kind of slow, and there are no cool jumps involved, so you don't get to swag your way into getting that key item. As we see, CoffeeAndChocobos just goes into shop.
So the scary part of getting the 2 characters at the top of Zot is, of course, you're going into that fight with 2 characters at base level, and BadKarma's kind of feeling that pain now. I mean, Dark Elf is not one of the worst fights you could see up there, but it's taking him a little bit of time.
It was asked in chat, Lord Hayati, basically the push B to jump it allows you to basically skip 1 square on the map. So while it sounds like a very simple thing, a lot of the fights are triggered by stepping on a particular square. So you get to skip boss spots, you get to jump to areas that might not typically be available without a key item. On places like the moon, you get bonus Michael Jordan air jumping skills. You can skip entire rooms by just jumping from one floor to another. It was originally brought about as an April Fool's flag, but some of the runners of the community took some time and really explored, and it really drastically changes majority of the game. But the simple answer is you get to jump from 1 tile to a tile 2 tiles away. But the long answer is it lets you up on ceilings. It lets you skip a whole bunch of things and save a bunch of time. There are a ridiculously large number of uses of it. It's even hard to describe, because there are some people who know a lot more ways to manipulate that than I can possibly mention in a brief sentence. But it is a good question. Yes, Mad Extrem. It does actually allow you to use the jump command with every character as well. It's not something you're going to typically see unless you run into a random Dalvalis, but it is fun. You could, on this Dark Elf fight, you could have 4 pigs flying right now if you wanted to.
So CoffeeAndChocobos turning in his pan to Sheila and receiving the Mysidian sword. It's not going to help us unless we find a ninja in one of the few character checks left, which we do.
And as I mentioned, BadKarma is showing off exactly the reason why going up Zot early is a double-edged sword. Those are great characters there, but Dark Elf, somebody who might not be the most difficult fight in most places, with those levels and in this location, is actually not somebody I would love to run up against. And as we saw, BadKarma had to take a reset. Might be able to get through it, but you really got to when you know what you're up against, it's a lot easier. But that spot is surprisingly difficult early game.
Coffee and Chocobos having that edge with the Mysidian, having the light sword for Cecil. Once if he's going to go up there and get those characters, he's going to have a lot easier time getting through the Dark Elf.
Definitely, and zerking that edge has slight level advantage on BadKarma from doing that fight down in the Fey March. It might have a little bit easier time. This is again issue with having all of this access is when do you decide to check these things? But yeah, the edge showed up. Usually when you find that sword for an edge, you just say to yourself, this is never gonna happen.
BadKarma just doing some inventory management, getting some equipment on his characters, hoping that that's going to give him the little boost that he needs to get through the Dark Elf.
Not someone you would typically think of as a rude boss. I don't know if Karma has an hourglass, but the second form of Dark Elf does not have the boss bit enabled. So you can do things like stop, but we'll see. Maybe he's figured out a different strategy this time around.
Yeah, if he can get him down to half health, he can just use Tella's weak and just finish him off pretty quickly.
Or that is something you don't see every day. Technically, just a miscast Odin for me.
All right, and so Tella's is gonna cast that weak, and then this fight should be over pretty quick.
You gotta keep that Tella alive. Tella is a frail old man. HP percentage based attack. So Tella with the cure 2 and the life should hopefully have enough up for, as long as he didn't take that melee attack, he should be good now.
It's up to Kane now.
Doesn't betray. There we go. Good job from BadKarma. That is with those levels particularly, but gonna be very happy to add that Cecil and the Kane to the team, that's for sure.
Oh, I miscalculated something. Coffee and Chocobos has not gone to ordeals yet, so he is getting he got the Dark Knight Cecil, so he is opting for the Kane.
It's interesting. Skipping ordeals is relatively common, I would say, on these seeds, just because of how many checks there are available. And I mean, if I had that edge with those weapons and I had Zerk on Rosa, I would feel a lot more comfortable not being overly concerned with getting Tella those spells. But we'll see if we find a better sword for Cecil somewhere here, and if that happens to weigh on that decision later on.
Yeah, maybe he sold because he did pick up that light sword. Maybe he already sold it, and that played into his decision. Light sword is, I mean, not one of the best swords, but definitely, it's definitely a sword I'm not afraid to go into Zeromus with.
It's up there as far as swords goes. It's just Cecil has so many options when it comes to weapons. So, without realizing it, not taking this pan check is saving the letdown of Sheila just deciding not to give you anything of value. This is Odin on the throne. He's moved from the basement on up to the main chair.
This makes the actual vanilla story of Final Fantasy IV very confusing right now, but I'll accept it.
Managed to hide a horse underneath that robe. Hella showing off his might with that lit 3.
As quickly as Odin appears, he is slowly fading away.
And we're starting to reach that point in the jumping club seeds where you gotta start actually playing the game for real. As there's not too much jumping left until you get access to the moon. That's a yang. I don't think Karma's going to keep that, but the garbage can might have value. Otherwise, we're looking at dwarf. We're looking at what were the other fights that are left?
We don't know what's behind the demist at the Asura spot, and we don't know what's behind the Odin throne right now.
That's right. I think. All right. I don't think we've seen anyone go top of the tower.
Nope.
I don't think we've seen Dwarf Castle either, but none of those are or jumpable fights or whatever you would call them in the seats. So we're gonna have to start playing a little more straightforward, moving on in this seed.
Oh. That is our darkness crystal in the garbage can. Somebody decided to throw it away, but we've recovered it.
Someone's mother threw it away. Odin was like, "Mom, where did you put my darkness crystal?" She's like, "Oh, I threw that away. I didn't think it was important." For BadKarma, you do have a D machine on the table with these characters. It would not be the worst choice to make. And then you're in that position where you need one key item and you have a lot of different places you can potentially look. Maybe trying to fish for 10 key items here. It looks like you might have 6 or 7.
Yeah, that's definitely something that I would be thinking of. BadKarma still has a couple of those free checks to hit, and CoffeeAndChocobos is pretty much out of them.
Is this the Baigan move over to? Is this the Baronin fight?
This is the Baronin fight. Yep.
This is one that I always forget about when I run these seeds. Forgot to mention when I was trying to come up with what we haven't seen so far. So still not something I keep adequately in mind.
There's no value at the Baronin.
You get a bard if you're so inclined, but I don't think anybody's that interested at this point.
Edward could have equipped that spoon, but I don't think anyone's going to opt to take him with that Edward now on the table, or that edge on the table.
And CoffeeAndChocobos looks like about to run through. Looks like tried to open up an additional door in Baron, and we'll be picking up the Darkness Crystal as well. Mad X, I believe the sand ruby came from the rat tail, which comes from one of these checks. I don't remember where the hook was either, but it was on some chain of items that came through Fabul, I believe. Gundam, maybe you can correct me.
Hook was at the sealed cave.
Okay, and
the rat tail, I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either. I don't remember where. Maybe our tracker can fill us in on that one. But it is something. I mean, that edge is a huge character to have, particularly since you'd already picked up that Masamune. And now that you'll have your darkness, the question is, who's at elements and CPU? Can you get XP off of that? Do you need to do some grinding first? Do you feel like a D machine is on the table? I think with Sirens, I don't know if I would do a D machine, but going up to Giant and fighting CPU without a lot more levels can potentially be dangerous.
So Bacon Pie is clarifying the Rat Tail was at the Leviathan spot, which was that soldier fight that the Coffee and Chocobos took early, but BadKarma has not returned to yet.
That makes sense. Chocobos will get the Darkness Crystal here, so he now, if you really want, you can dive the moon. The Giant is required, but you can pick up 2 free checks from the... Oh, and it looks like he wants to get that Tela online.
Yeah, definitely gonna get weak to a D machine, but he's also going to get his 10th key item from... Though he does not know that right now, but he will get the 10th key item from this check.
Oh, nice. So, a lot of checks on the table. Typically, when I do these, I try to get the Giant out of the way early, but a lot of jumps across the bridge there. Well done. You can pick up the D Lunar items for free. You can jump over that tile, but then if that doesn't pay out, you are kind of in a quandary of if you want to leave the moon or if you want to take some difficult fights. There are some much freer fights than the moon fights still left for both of these runners.
So it looks like BadKarma is doing a Siren grind now. I wonder if he's doing that instead of a D machine grind, or in just preparation for one, maybe just to get a couple more levels before facing the tougher grind that's the D machine.
Yeah, I certainly wouldn't be against getting some quick levels here. It does look like maybe underestimated the amount of damage someone was going to do on that initial swipe, because that dragon does not like being woken from that egg. I've learned that the hard way several different ways over. We'll see what Coffee and Chocobos does. Because as you mentioned, that's 10 key items, so you could do a quick D machine, couple eggs. You're gonna get 300,000 XP from that CPU spot, unless it's a boss that gives less. So you got a lot of options for XP on the table right now.
Yeah, and don't forget that he is still missing his legend sword, and there's a lot of spots left on Earth or at least underground to check even before going to the moon. But he might need to only kill 1 or 2 D lunars and then head right to the moon and finish getting experience from those moon bosses.
We still have a couple free fights on the table. I wouldn't be surprised, just because you can save scum that Elements fight, see if it's something that you want to get that 200,000 XP from. With that edge, with those swords and the white mages, I think most CPU fights you should be pretty comfortable with, and then you might just sort of soak up XP from the moon fights. Although I will say the typical feeling on these flags is that moon is constantly haunted, so we'll see if this proves true or not. I know every race that I've ever done in this club, I go early moon, and it never pays off. So best of luck to both of these runners in that regard.
Yeah, the giant here is really interesting because of those free fights left. You get some dark imps in the CPU spot, and you do the life glitch correctly. That's almost 500,000 experience right there, and you can just walk through the rest of those bosses no matter where they are.
Yeah, that's the gamble you take if you run up the giant. You have the potential to just gain a lot of free XP. or you might have to do maybe a slightly cumbersome grind. I do like BadKarma's play here. As I said, that the people who are much better at running these flags than I am typically try to clear as much of Earth as possible before deciding to go to the moon, and that's what it looks like BadKarma's doing here.
Yeah, I definitely don't hate that play. He scrambled those eggs just to give his party enough power to get through easily, and he'll be through both of these fights in only a minute or two.
And this Calbrena looks like the dolls didn't really move too far from their original location.
Yeah, I mean, is this even randomized?
Yes. Is this even? And that is the one downside of your only black mage being without any good summons, is you don't have any AoE, so you do end up spawning that doll more often than not.
Oh, but that ready is about to get a very quick glow up.
And there's Dr. Luge, which, considering this is a spot with pretty... Oh, wow, and there's
boy. Goodbye, Tella. The alpha old man is here.
Yeah, we found a cooler grandpa. Dad's grandpa is cooler. We're gonna hang out with him now.
So like I stated before, it's BadKarma has a lot of pretty easy bosses he can run back and try to take out to get that Fusia 100% online.
Yeah, typically at this point, if you pick up a Fu from Dwarf, 1200 is not the HP total that you would expect. There's at least one free fight down in the Feymarch. You do have Darkness Crystal, might be waiting for 10 key items. And yeah, I mean, I've run up ordeals just to power up a Fu. I'm not ashamed to admit it.
So it looks like looks like CoffeeAndChocobos is confident about his levels enough not to... Oh no, he's doing a mute bell grind here. So he'll be using the sirens to summon those warlocks, and then using the mute bell to make them completely helpless.
Yeah, these poor warlocks, whether they can cast the spells or not, will just repeatedly at least attempt, which there's some valor in that, but it's also quite entertaining because it eats up a lot of time just watching them confusedly try to throw out spells at you every single round.
BadKarma picking up his 8th key item at Dwarf Castle with that pink tail.
I was just wondering what that might be.
Pink tail does represent an adamant armor.
Yep, and a Fusoya and a pink tail. If I can get that food charged up to nuke, there's a part of me that's not even concerned about grinding at that point.
Now, BadKarma does not have the hook yet, and Sealed Cave is definitely a spot which I fade quite often. So he might be in go mode long before he even thinks to check that.
That is a fair point. The hook does not necessarily provide all that much value because you have an immediate path underground. I keep wanting to say that it's a free check in Luca, but it's always a free check in Luca. You don't have to fight the boss. So like technically you gain some time by not having to fight the boss, but over the non-push B to jump flags, it still takes just as long to make it down there.
Yeah, there's no fancy jumping you can do to avoid that long walk down.
Yeah, there's one clever jump that saves about 6 seconds in the opening room, and that is it. I like this Warlock grind, though. I mean, at some point, you do have to get the levels to defeat Zeromus, and if you have Sirens, Mute Bells are 500 GP apiece. It's a pretty free fight. I'm sorry, yeah, Mute Bells. And it looks like Rosa with those mute arrows, whatever she has on is doing some very strong work.
No, it's a strong choice. It's one I kind of expect to see more often in the 3-miss zone flags coming up.
Yeah, the gold dragons, time ago were the fight of choice, but you need weak, you need hourglasses, and this, if you have something that can do mage damage, and mute bells are very, very easily found and far less expensive, and the net gain is basically the same.
Yeah, and the 3-miss zone flags are going to disincentivize both the red giant and the demist grinds because you're not going to be able to run away from those in between fights that you have to take in order to find those grinds.
Yeah, when we do get to that tournament, I think we're gonna see, if somebody does commit to D Machine, you could see potentially just a lot of angry resetting occurring in those, because you gotta get the first try D Machine, and there aren't that many tiles.
All right, so CoffeeAndChocobos is gonna run down to check Moon bottom up and see if we can find the Legend Sword.
Nothing going there. Ice Brand and a Twin Harp from the D-Lunar spot. So the search will continue. And yeah, Karma is going to take this soldier fight. I love seeing these cover strats because when you first look at it, you're like, what is he doing? And then you're like, oh yeah, Cecil.
See, I feel like I would at least check the boss at that ribbon spot, because it does, even if it's not something you can even life glitch, it's 200,000 damage. So if it's a free boss there, then it can help him get past 50 at this point.
True, it's definitely a check I would typically make. Although I will say, when you still have to do CPU.
Yeah, which
you're getting 300,000 experience whether you like it or not.
That's true.
Doesn't look like he has a Thunderclaw, which is a huge mistake, as we all know. Claw, and it would be wiping this Leviathan out right now.
All right, so BadKarma is making his way through this soldier fight. Looks like he's using Cecil to cover the rest of his party.
Yeah, as Shmoo points out, CoffeeAndChocobos had a coffin. At these levels, I mean, the coffin would be nice, but also just if you don't have the coffin and you don't need the XP, just killing off those soldiers is a much faster way than trying to direct attack that officer in the back row. Going right for the Demas, so we will get some new information here, as I don't think CoffeeAndChocobos will have any problems with this Leviathan up on the top left either. Yeah,
that would give him, if the Legend Sword is here, would give him a big advantage. But he's still behind on the key item count, so any grind he would do now is much slower, and of course, yeah.
Moon's still haunted. Moon's still haunted. Still plenty of places to check, but Magma Key and a Twin Harp so far from the Lunar Subterrane. Let's hope, for CoffeeAndChocobos' sake, that I'm wrong about the Moon being haunted in these seeds. Now, have you seen the spells that Fu has? I saw Virus being cast, and I saw Quake.
Yeah, I got a glimpse of when he first got him. Yeah, well, then we just gotta look. So definitely doesn't have Nuke yet, and doesn't have Weak.
Nuke would definitely be something that would make this Derek Mist fight a heck of a lot easier. As we see, over. That's not a fun boss to run into at the Yogo spot.
No, Antlion is going to be hitting pretty hard here, and it's going to be countering every time you try to do any significant damage. So it's going to be a frustrating fight to get through.
The White Mages, Berserkers.
Yeah, CoffeeAndChocobos is using Blink to try to nullify a lot of those regular physical attacks, but Blink does not help you against the counter.
Correct, but we do get to see one of the unique things of this flag, and that's Edge getting to from the free throw line and soar through the skies and slam dunk on Antlion. Neither of these are fast fights for either of our runners right now.
Oh, well, actually, CoffeeAndChocobos is not worried about that counter because he doesn't have Black Mage. Anyone capable of casting Black Magic who is currently awake. So, with Blink on everybody, then this fight is just going to take time.
Just soaring through the skies. Coming at Antlion from above and behind. Antlion, even though those eyes are placed pretty wide apart, apparently does not counter when being jumped on. His eyes are mysteriously far apart from each other. Chucking a spoon. It's a great call.
It is. It'll significantly shorten the fight. Would have been swag if it killed him. That's unfortunate though.
You're getting a little frustrated with the fight when you got the spoon. Although you can save scum out of this, so I certainly a play that I make fairly regularly when I do have the spoon. Although that's how you use up your spoon on a pretty easy fight and then forget about it. Fusoya may not be fast, but he's slow. Fusoya doesn't do defense. I might have to watch Space Jam now as well, Asuka.
CoffeeAndChocobos walking away with an Excalibur from that altar. It's not going to help him. He did leave that Cecil behind on Zot.
Gives up a spoon and gets a much sharper, more powerful weapon, but unfortunately can't chuck it quite as hard as you can that spoon for some reason. It is a key item though, although not really after key items at this point. Pale Dim, gonna counter, but you can at least zerk your brutes on this one.
It's the least scary of the sparkles.
Yep, and as far as counters go, one that you tolerate. You're not afraid to have slow cast on you 12 consecutive times. It's just annoying. It's not really a threat.
Probably would want to get float queued up here just in case, but should be fine.
So 3 key items from the moon. No key items as far as the operative word key is concerned, as far as Coffee and Chocobos would like to see. And I think we will be done with this Demist fight relatively soon. And will Demist be hiding value just on his own? Because there is no bonus key item, but we're running all out of checks here.
Did we get 3 key items on the moon? It was Magma Key and the Harp.
Oh, I'm sorry. The X-Cal was not a key item. You're right.
No, okay. No, we're not looking for the X-Cal. We are looking for that Legend Sword, which no one has found yet.
And no one was looking for that ribbon, that's for sure. Oh, I'm gonna come out and say it. Top of tower. Value at the top of tower. Karma agrees with me. Let's see.
Yeah, Karma is sticking to Earth. He's not gonna go up to the moon yet, which is a good counterplay against Coffee and Chocobos.
What have we not seen? Well, once we see this Pale Dim.
Still haven't checked the Odin Throne? Where else on Earth haven't we checked? Top of tower, the Odin Throne.
Tower Key.
Right.
The Odin Throne, and then we haven't seen Cave Bahamut, and we haven't seen the top lunar subterranean spot, the Murasame spot. So call it out where you think this final item is going to be, because we are narrowing down the search.
I'm really hoping it's top of tower now.
I love the top of tower. I don't think in the jump seeds it's not an incredibly quick check to make. There's no speedy way up there.
At this point,
I would like to see top of tower, vanilla tower key, and then that's what eventually gives you the value.
Boy, when you get that vanilla tower key, you feel really good about yourself.
Unless it leads to nothing, in which case you just feel like you wasted an extra 73 seconds of time that you didn't need to. Still no nuke either on that Fusoya. So we have one vote for value in Cave Bahamut. I'm saying top of tower. The options are quite limited, Gundam. What do you think?
I'm gonna hope for top of tower.
Arma plays makes the move that I too have made many times, which is attempting to cure up an Ice 3. Rubicon puts his left foot out, and then he puts it back in, and then the Ice 3 goes off, eliminating all of that hard work you've put in. But the magic damage at this location is basically negligible. So fortunately, Ruby is just there to show off his games.
He's just an obstacle to get through at this point.
A master in chat asking why they didn't check the throne. It is usually a place that you want to at least peek, but both of them, when they did Baron, weren't quite really at the levels where you would feel comfortable taking a majority of bosses who would be there. But given what we're seeing now, it's definitely something that would be high on my list. If I got done with Moon and I hadn't seen any key items, that would probably be my first check on the way back down.
Okay, BadKarma is through that Rubicon, and let's see what he's gonna get.
Commentators know. Every time.
It's clutch. It's clutch right now.
So here it is. Is this the Galaxy Brain, or is this the just the one key item where you wouldn't have, or you otherwise would have reset, and instead you gotta just go through this additional thing to find out that it was nothing.
Coffee and Chocobos finding that Gungnir spear at that top altar. So that's increasing our chances pretty significantly that this could be the legend sword that we're looking for.
We're running out of places. I do love this play from Coffee and Chocobos.
Oh my god, I never even thought to do that.
Just got that Toon Squad air right now. Tower Key, LU Cave, and the Odin Throne. One of them will have to give us the final piece of the puzzle. They will still have to go and defeat at least that CPU spot. So
Bahamut fight is the alt gauntlet. This is gonna be a trolley fight to get through.
Oh, speaking of long fights, this is a tough one to stomach. I mean, when you've cleared the rest of the moon and you haven't gotten anything, I mean, I would begrudgingly also take this fight, but I would be very, very, very frustrated by it for the duration. This is not a fun group of bosses either. I mean, when you start with one Ginryu, you can only imagine where the rest of it goes.
All right, so BadKarma is being rescued by the airship. Oh, and receiving a white spear for his trouble.
Still, it looks like headed down Luca, so we know that's the hook. Pink Tail and the Rat Tail turn-ins will be beneficial. Not not seed winning, but I have been eliminated. I did call Vanilla Tower Key, but I did not get the value item at the end of the chain. So we are down to 2 checks here.
Yeah, so it's either going to be behind this alt gauntlet or whoever is waiting for us at the Odin Throne. And of course, Coffee and Chocobos has almost beaten Final Fantasy IV, and you see the power of that press B to jump flag. Well, we're sitting at 1 hour, 10 minutes.
That's right. So, and oh God, this is such a rude gauntlet.
The 2. I'd be thinking, like, maybe I want to wake Tella up just so he can cast a week or 2 at this point.
I would want to wake Tella up just so he could get slammed in the face by one of these red giants instead of somebody I care about. I would wake Tella up just to take a shot to the face so he could go back to sleep. We don't have anyone done yet, so far.
That's right. These aren't our only 2 runners. I think we have it was 9. Was it 9 total before we started?
That's right.
Yep. So no one has yet finished. So either everyone is getting us trolled by these checks as our featured runners, or someone could be in that Z fight right now.
And as is being discussed in chat, this has been crossing my mind is who is at Elements and who is at CPU, because we are, I mean, Plague pretty free.
I don't mind Plague at CPU. Plague at CPU, I would celebrate that.
Water Hag would also be great to run into. Baron Guards, as you mentioned, a life glitch on the Baron Guards is going to get you basically to as much XP as you need to get through the rest of the seed.
Same thing with the Dark Imps too.
Well, that's right. I don't think we've seen them either. I don't think we've seen Wyvern. I don't know have we seen Golbez?
I've not seen Golbez. Golbez I wouldn't want to see in CPU, but
from up here in the booth looking down, this could either be a very free giant or an incredibly mean giant. And I mean, you can skip the element spot, but CPU hits real hard. It's not as much or as many hit points to get through, but it can be a real vicious fight.
The BadKarma's turning in the two tails. I don't think he'll be changing up his party at this point. He's too far along in his levels.
Yep, I agree with you there. That's one of those situations. Actually, you probably just don't even check the bed.
Yeah, you put that admin armor on Fusaya and you move on.
But I was hoping that maybe had he gone in the direction of the Sand Ruby, we might get to see that throne check. Because there's no guarantee if there's not value here at Cave Bahamut that Coffee and Chocobos would be beelining right to the throne, because there are several other checks that he faded when he decided to go moon early.
So we have one forfeit coming in from Rumblefish82. Good game, Rumblefish. But he is bowing out of this race right now, so it's 8 runners remaining.
Can't blame you there. I can picture someone running into this gauntlet after clearing the moon and taking a wipe and just deciding, you know what, I'm not doing that again. I would rather just lay back and let some other people suffer through the remainder of this seed. Could have gone early giant, and we'll see who that CPU fight is, because as we've mentioned, there's some free left out there, and there's the complete opposite of free waiting around in the ranks as well.
Oh my. Coffee and Chocobo's still making his way through that gauntlet. I mean, by the time he's done, Zeromas is not gonna be a challenge, but
no, not at all. It's a great grind. Oh, and there, wow. All right.
So BadKarma's going to have to get through that gauntlet. Now, the Bahamut spot is something that I often do before diving into the Lunar Underground. So it is possible that he'll check that first. But when he sees that it's the gauntlet, whether he stays and sticks it out is another question.
Yeah. That is a tough choice. If I had hourglasses and I hadn't grinded and I was feeling extra saucy, it might be a fight I would take, but 9 times out of 10, I'm seeking out greener pastures when I see that gauntlet there.
Especially with so many free bosses left.
Yeah, but that is go mode for Coffee and Chocobos. We will get. It looks like Karma might check the throne for us anyway, so we'll get that information, or maybe shopping for ethers, perhaps. I don't know. Ooh, forgot to do Baron in. We've all been there.
So while Coffee and Chocobos makes his way down through Giant, just wanted to get a shout out to our background team. Bacon Pie doing the tracking, doing a great job, and I'm gonna butcher this. Asuka on the restream team.
Yeah, it's been great so far. Yeah, while they're running up, we're hosting a tournament. Asuka. But we do have a tournament starting in August. If you want any details, that is available on our Discord server, which I'm sure someone will be glad to link in the chat. And this will be curious. Free, friend or foe at the CPU spot is the question now.
You hate to see it.
It doesn't get any easier. It just keeps escalating. It wasn't even a boss that we had mentioned, but
no. And that evil wall is gonna hit really, really hard here.
Physical attack is not the type of opponent you're looking for at the CPU spot. Not to mention that Evil Wall just cheats anyway. Evil Wall plays by Evil Wall's rules.
Keeping those two white mages is probably going to be thought of as a galaxy brain play here, because they're going to be able to keep our melee fighters alive while they're zerked and doing a ton of damage.
Also probably grateful for having been forced to do that all gauntlet, to be honest. That extra 400,000 experience isn't hurting you at all going against this fight. Bacon Tracker, that it was one of the apples.
Yeah, AG apple, gold apple.
On that wall.
That's right. So it wasn't as fierce as I would have expected, but of course, Coffee and Chocobos well into the 50s with all of his characters at this point.
I mean, when you have a Rosa with 2,500 plus hit points, there's only so much to be afraid of. And there was Ogo on the throne, so Karma is completing our at least restream 2727. This is go mode for Coffee and Chocobos. Does have the pass. Will he swag land the lunar whale?
Well, he still has to walk down to get the to forge his.
Oh, you're right. Don't get to swag land. That's too bad.
No. That's definitely something that that I've done before, and that I know a lot of people have. Just eagerly jumping at the Zeromus fight without that crystal.
Last time I did it was I needed to unlock the Luca door, and I forgot to do that. And then while I was exiting out and running back down to do it again, Flurry beat me. Of course, it was Flurry.
All right.
But
while Coffee and Chocobo is forging that Excalibur, we have our first place finisher. Antidale has finished the race. 1 hour, 20 minutes, 13 seconds. GG's Antidale.
Congratulations to Antidale. This is Antidale's brainchild. So he is to thank for the creation of this community club that we are showcasing tonight. So good on him for the victory. We did see there were some Zeus gauntlets, I believe, too, in the shop, but this is go mode for Coffee and Chocobos. And there it is. That's the Earth Crystal from that Ogo. That's not the thing you want to see. I believe it is your first time commentating tonight, and as we head into this Zeromus fight, as we know, the Zeromus boss doesn't move around. Sprite is randomized, so I think there is a question that I would like for you to ask to everyone watching here tonight.
Thank you, PK. That's the question that I've always wanted to ask on stream, and that is, whose butt are we going to be kicking tonight?
Indeed, get out any guesses that you have. I always hope for the Moonanite Sprite.
Oh, I like Tyson myself. That's my favorite one.
Pretty good one as well. With these levels, Antidale, that was quite the battle in Cave Bahamut. But here we go. Yeah, those bonus levels, that XP from CPU, Coffee and Chocobos is very well set up to get through this Z fight.
Tell us his agility anchor. He's going to have good agility. He's being the first to act. And I can't say that I know what that is from.
Odiamus? I not say either. Scala did make an appearance in the chat. I think she heard whose butt are we going to kick tonight, and that summoned Scala.
The final boss of Live Alive.
I don't know if this makes me want to play the game or if this makes me want to avoid the game like the plague, because I'm a little terrified by what I'm looking at right now.
It seems scary. It's scary. While we were waiting for our Z-Sprite reveal, we have second place finisher with a Stone Dingley. Finished in second place with the time of 1 hour, 22 minutes, and 29 seconds. So GG's.
GG's. And as chat is pointing out, I think already when you do grind and then you have to also do the alt gauntlet at value cave as well as CPU, you're going to end up collecting slightly more experience than would maybe be necessary to get through this fight. But it certainly doesn't hurt, as it looks like we're getting some hybrid strats here. I don't think Odiamus is going to be too long for this world.
No, Coffee and Chocobos have thrown up some big numbers against Odiamus.
Yep, and BadKarma running right to the gauntlet, and looks like he's gonna take it. Giving a lot of the checks that we saw Coffee and Chocobos make. Assuming make it through it, this is not a free fight, but that will be go mode for Karma as well.
Karma does have the advantage of having Fusaya, so he's going to be able to do a lot more damage to multiple monsters in this alt gauntlet. Probably helps him get through it a little quicker than Coffee and Chocobos managed it.
He traded in that pink tail as well, so I guess probably less concerned.
Yeah, he threw that adamant armor on Cecil, so Cecil's going to be able to tank a good amount of the damage.
That's going to be able to tank anything short of an actual tank. Are the flashes? Coffee and Chocobos has finished first of our restreamed runners and third place overall with a time of 1:26.09. So GG's in the chat for Coffee and Chocobos. We will see if we can get him in here to talk about his experience on Kangaroo Island tonight.
GG's Coffee and Chocobos. All right, BadKarma's still making his way through the alt gauntlet, facing the red giants now.
And having skipped, doing any sort of formidable grind, this is, now that you have the adamant armor and the foo, this is basically just, doing a grind.
Yeah, essentially, and after this, he's going to be able to go right to the giant and face off against that CPU boss, and then he'll be ready for Z.
It sounds like Coffee and Chocobos has something they need to take care of, so has been unfortunately declining the interview. But I think we can assume what would have been said there, which is I can't believe that I had to do the alt gauntlet after doing all the rest of the moon and collecting basically nothing for it. This is one of those situations where you get nothing from the moon, and you're like, well, I'm gonna do value cave even if it's even if it's the gauntlet because I didn't get anything. To this moon play through and through.
CoffeeAndChocobos showed very impressive command of the jump flags. He showed some great boss strategies. He played extremely well. So third place, well deserved.
Once again, GG. These are opening. It is a mad scramble for checks and key items, but then you still have to make sure that you're good to go for something like doing the alt gauntlet at the value cave, because you can't jump over that. There's nothing behind it.
All right, looks like BadKarma's running into a little bit of trouble with Fusaya in mop mode, but I think this is either the last fight or the second to last fight. So
yeah, should be through. I mean, Adam and Cecil is solo whatever happens for the rest of this fight. I would think at this point you're trying to keep everyone up so that you can get this XP spread across as many characters as possible.
Yep, and Fusaya being starting at level 50 is not the highest priority to have survived these fights.
Down to just this poor solo warlock.
And of course, Cecil's going to do extra legwork here because he's going to be able to cover his teammates and make that adamant armor even more valuable than it would be on anyone else.
Well, one final fight.
King Ryu shouldn't be too bad if Fusaya has enough MP left for a couple weeks.
Up that. It's what I think BadKarma's thinking there. Some more XP, and you will, along with the XP, get the actual reward that you're looking for. I do have to give props to BadKarma, though. He couldn't have known. He did do the Odin Throne for us, which, as we saw, was Ogo Pogo. That was Earth Crystal, and I saw part of the treasury. Maybe if anyone else is paying attention, but looked like a glass helmet was the best thing that came out of that.
Yeah, I mean, probably was looking for something better for Kane. I'm not sure what he has equipped on Kane right now. I think CoffeeAndChocobos went to Z with Kane equipped with the Rune Axe. So I don't think there was any good Kane weapons. Although no, I'm sorry. BadKarma did get the White Spear.
I was going to say, yeah. I recall there being a White Spear, but I couldn't off the top of my head say where it was.
Yeah, I think so. I think I probably would have skipped the treasury entirely, but it's a tough decision to do because there's so much value there if you're going to get something good.
So that has to be an incredibly satisfying feeling to make it all the way through that gauntlet and then actually get the key item that you're looking for, considering we know what's left on the rest of the moon, and it is a giant pile of nothing. Evil Wall remains, and I don't think we're going to have to see any more grinding from BadKarma once he finishes up on the giant.
No, I guess the only question is whether he does a D-machine before facing the CPU or whether he checks it before he worries about a grind. I didn't see what levels he made it to, but after that, after getting through the alt gauntlet, he's probably at least in the mid 40s.
Cecil looked like before finishing that last fight that Cecil had about 2,500 HP and an adamant armor. So like I said, I personally, I would run headfirst into this CPU fight and just assume that I could get through it somehow. But I still might, you know, there were a lot of free fights out there. I don't think we saw Coffee and Chocobos peek it. You could peek the Elements fight if what you're looking for is just like some bonus XP. But I would be surprised if we saw anything else here.
Yeah, I think we're just gonna run into the CPU and then off to fight. I forgot its name. Odiamus.
Odiamus. Terrifying sprite. Acted by Scala Kitty, but nightmare fuel nonetheless. Yeah, Antidale in chat, having finished the race, saying that Elements would be a good peak. We were discussing before you had finished that there are a fair number of free bosses still out there. It just makes me wonder. I mean, that evil wall would have been hard, but if you had come up here early, I am just curious for my own edification to see who is at that element spot. Nope, just jumping it. Auntie, maybe you can spoil us if you did make that peak. Amagius asking what is music. There's no music. Music has been canceled due to lack of hustle during the jumping seeds. Can jump right over the tile that Dark Elf thinks is enough to defend his reward, but you just jump over it, you jump back. It was required, but we didn't actually get to hear the sweet tunes from Spoony B.
So probably going to see a similar strategy from BadKarma that we saw with Coffee and Chocobos, zerking his melee dealers, healing with everybody else. He does have the benefit of having cast some black magic, and of course Fusuya.
Evil Wall is still evil, regardless of what levels you have or anything else. Evil Wall will still frustrate you.
Yeah, I mean the adamant armor is doing a lot of help, but it's, I mean, in the front row it's still doing a couple hundred damage, so definitely not a free fight no matter how you throw it.
We'll just let Cecil absorb that damage. Although at this point, you're getting close to the crush phase. I don't think damage is going to be too big of a deal, but yeah, Evil Wall, as far as bosses defined in CPU, considering all the free ones who were waiting around, not a nice guy.
There's very few bosses that I would be that I would be more scared of than Evil Wall at this spot. Maybe Ogopogo.
Ogo would be rude. Ogo would definitely be rude. I was gonna say something in addition to that, but no, Ogo would just be rude. Ogo would be up there as far as rudeness goes.
Oh, and getting the kill right at the crush phase.
Oh, just not enough nuke for Rydia. That was white. Throws I mean, Adamant Cecil. Enough said. I don't think I'm too concerned about running into Zeromus. There were Zeus gauntlets for sale. Oh, it was Water Hag at the Elements.
Oh, that's super free.
That is quite free.
Suki Baka is asking why Crush got no one. Crush got no one because it probably hit Cecil, and the adamant armor wasn't going to let it do it.
Oh, one more time into the fray. Personally, knowing there were those Zeus gauntlets for sale, and that you did have to forge, I guess you do skip a cutscene by going right from the moon to the giant, but you don't get to Swagland the whale at Troya afterwards. So I feel like it's kind of a trade-off, because you would get to shop here first, but
yeah, it's
I guess for
probably
not
about
that much
either way.
Yeah.
BadKarma also picking up those Zeus gauntlets.
Yep, just a little extra bonus damage. That life staff is going to make those white casts even more powerful. I'm guessing we see another hybrid strat here. BadKarma.
Yeah, BadKarma has the could have an advantage by having Rydia, but I don't think she was at nuke levels yet. 49? No, not quite there yet.
It was one off. But maybe just move her up to the top and let her reflect the spells. Either way, I don't think there are too many wrong ways to do this Zeromus fight here.
No, and probably the main difference is that BadKarma's fight's Zeromus is gonna be a little bit faster. Although I don't think he picked up the cursed ring, and so I think he's just going to. I'm going to put Rosa in the middle for the anchor.
Realizes that he has those apples. Quick hop over the pass for Kiefer. And once more we had this Zeromus, this Odiomus. And it looks like still competing here for 4th place. We haven't had any finishers since CoffeeAndChocobos. So
we did have one additional forfeit. Dragus bowed out of the race, so GG's to him.
Yep, and it seems like everyone is less against taking on that alt gauntlet, but benefiting BadKarma here. It's a great play if it works out, and it did in this situation. And while we get this Zeromus fight going again, once more, Asuka and Gundam with me on the comms. GundamPilotSpaz, Basing and Pi. Been doing our tracking. Thanks to everyone on the Restream team. We also, for anyone interested, do have community races Monday and Friday. We do feature a different community club once a week, all throughout the month. There are 4 of them, as well as we have our 3rd installment of the Highway to the Zemus Zone at the beginning of next month. Any additional information can be found on our Discord. If you have any questions about how to run, we have a newbies corner, we have pickup races, async races, anything that you would need to get into the game if you want to play in the tournaments, anything like that. As well as thank you to Coffee and Chocobos and BadKarma for letting us watch and discuss their decision-making process throughout this race tonight.
Yeah, please, if you're watching and you haven't jumped into the Discord, please do. And all skill levels are welcome into the Zima Zone tournament. And everyone is friendly and will help you out as much as they can.
Man, Asura even complying with the healing. Love to see it. Once again, as we see Skullakitty throwing the commands out in chat, Skullakitty, the primary designer of all of these sprites, the brains behind all of these things that keep you up at night. Wonderful work. We have hundreds and hundreds of sprites, I believe, 400 plus sprites in the pool. We didn't get to see the music, but 100 plus songs as well to be played by our Spoony Bard, who was only of a value in the free key item that he handed out. He never got out of bed today.
That's right, and new sprites and new songs are added all the time.
We're seeing a hybrid strat here. We're getting high-level spells as well as Zerks from Cecil and from Kane. From Cecil, not going to struggle through any of this. Not one of these low-level Z fights that I think we're going to see a lot more of in the tournament.
So Odium is getting that black hole off, but BadKarma quickly re-berserking Cecil. Oh, and accidentally taking out his own Fusia because the wall did get nullified by the black hole as well.
It was back in Fu's natural state of being a surprisingly small body on the floor in mop shape.
That Big Bang did roll fairly high, but nobody else took a nap with that one. And the Asura should be able to heal everyone back up. Oh!
Raising the mop. I'm not losing any sleep here if I'm BadKarma. You still have a cure forecast. And that did technically wake the mop from mopping.
No, he's certainly not in danger, but you hate to see it.
Never mind, mop's back. Better roll this time. There it is. The Quake from BadKarma on Odiumus? I love this.
I do like it. I do like it. I mean, if you don't have the wall up, yeah, do some damage somehow.
And there it is. Yeah, there was no counter nuke from that Quake. That is all she wrote for BadKarma. GG's.
GG's to BadKarma, our 4th place finisher. Official time of 1 hour, 48 minutes, and 15 seconds.
We'll see if it sounds like we're gonna get BadKarma in here for an interview. So once again, this was the Mysidian Jumping Club every Wednesday night, 9:30 Eastern time. If you want to come to Kangaroo Island, all you got to do is hop on over to the Discord. But let's see if where BadKarma is. I believe you should be joining us shortly. Hello, BadKarma. GG. Congratulations on your 4th place finish.
Thanks. GG's everybody else.
So, hello, BadKarma. GG. Congratulations on your 4th place finish.
The
race that the general idea with these is that the moon is haunted. So,
yeah,
talk us through, because I was saying
I've been doing the Mysidian Jump Club for about a month now, and I've been racing against Antidale and Poydrak and all them, and I'm consistently beaten by them. And when I didn't see the dot duns early, when I got the darkest crystal, I said that moon's haunted. And I full tilted into that, and did not pay off this time.
So, what's your thought process when you go up and you see that alt gauntlet up there in the value cave?
So that late, I knew I had to do a grind at some point, and I didn't want to fade any checks with the moon at that point as well. So I said, you know what, this is my grind. I'm just gonna do it, and we'll go from there. And I just got lucky, and I'm guessing probably some people faded that, or I don't know if CoffeeAndChocobos did. I forgot there was only one other person I was restreamed against.
Well, we can tell you from what we saw from Coffee that you're lucky. Well, I mean, that was the only key item remaining that you needed, but there was nothing else on the moon worth taking.
Don't worry, there was none on Earth either.
So yeah, I guess the elements fight was Water Hag.
Oh, I jumped right over that.
Yeah, we were hoping to check it. Antidale was in the chat. He managed to clue us in on that.
I at that point I said, you know what, I'm close enough. CPU's gonna give me hopefully full XP, and that'll be 300k. That should be enough to put me in Zeromus levels. So I hopped right over it.
So you did do Dwarf Castle with CoffeeAndChocobos did not do. So you had the advantage of the Fusaya. How did that change your strategy going into the rest of the seed?
So my plan at that point was I'm going to do Dwarf, hoping to get one more key item to put me at 8, I think is where I was at. And then go do my Giant grind and clear Giant and then go to the moon. Thinking I could just pop down to the ribbon room. Hopefully there's a couple key items there, work my way back up. Then I got that Fu, and I got too excited and forgot Fu probably won't have weak. So that ruined my plan for Giant. But then I got Quake, and I was like, all right, well, I can at least clear out the Fame Arch. I knew that D-Miss was down there, even though it wasn't, we had free key item, but it's still D-Miss with a Cecil in the back row is pretty easy, and the guards, it didn't matter which guards were there. So that was my thinking on that. Just clear everything down there and hope it worked out.
That sounds good. It was a heck of a time. It's really fun getting to feature all these different clubs. Do you have any final thoughts? Anything you'd like to add? Anything about the jumping?
I personally really enjoy the jumping. When I first started free enterprise and racing, Jump Club was the first thing I did, and I find it's definitely a lot easier. It's definitely a good intro. It lets you kind of skip a lot of rude things. So if you were thinking about running free enterprise, thinking about getting into the racing scene, I would definitely start with these flags. It's going to test your knowledge of the world, and it's going to test what you can and can't, avoid, but it still gives you enough challenges like tonight too.
Gundam, do you have any more questions?
Actually, I was wanted to know about that the Dark Elf at the top of the tower. I mean, I think that was the only fight that you had some trouble against.
That was board face. That's the only answer I can give for that. The first round, I was like, man, I just got to do something to get him into Dark Dragon, and so I can weak him and move on. And he piggied that Tella right off the bat, and I started scrambling. And yeah, second time I said, I'm just popping this Grimoire and and hoping I get a good roll, and I did with Bahamut. So, but yeah, that was some board face AI, and he still got me on the rematch too when Dark Dragon went and just smacked Tella right in the face. So thanks, board face.
Diving Earth was a little uncomfortable with the characters that you had at that time.
Yeah, that's why I did a couple extra checks. I looked at the package and saw it was Sid, and I was like, I had a rune axe. I was like, I just don't want to take the time to go through that cutscene just for Sid. And I got lucky that it was, I had decent gear for Cecil and Kane when I got there, so I just and got lucky that it was Dark Elf. There could have been a lot more rude fights up there. I probably would have noped out if that had been Ogopogo.
Well, thanks again for letting us restream you.
Thanks for having me. Thanks to the restream team. I hope everything went well. You guys are fantastic as always. Looks like Bacon Pie was tracking. Asuka was restream team. Gundam and PK, thanks for commentating. The restream team never gets enough love, in my opinion.
Thank you.
All right, well, once again, this was the Mysidian Jumping Club. As was mentioned, please do feel free, give a follow to our wonderful restreamer, Asuka, and our tracker, Bacon, Bacon Pie, and do you have any final thoughts?
No, it's the jumping club is always a lot of fun. It's a nice break from this kind of the other scarier seeds of the Lunar Racing Club and the other kind of more challenging clubs. So it's always great to watch a fun match.
Sounds great. Thanks everybody for joining in and watching. We are going to be raiding a good friend of the channel, Silverfire. They are doing some practice for the upcoming tournament that I had mentioned before. But again, if you are looking for any information, head on over to the Discord. But let's all go give a big free enterprise hug to Silverfire.